Hello everyone, welcome back to Angular Stories series. Previously, we discussed the View Child and View Children decorators. If you haven't had the chance to watch that episode, I strongly encourage you to do so, as today's story builds upon the concepts covered in that episode. Now, it's time to delve into the world of ContentChild and ContentChildren decorators, but before we do that, let's take a moment to refresh our memory. Let's go back to our previous story about ng template, ng container, and ng content. In that story, we discovered the immense power of ng content and how it plays a vital role in building highly adaptable and reusable UI elements. Well, ContentChild and ContentChildren decorators come into play when you need to access the ng content or projected content within your component. They provide a way to interact with the projected content. So, get ready to unlock the full potential of ContentChild and ContentChildren decorators in this episode. Let's start with a real use case. In this episode, we will build tabs, and what we are going to build is this. This time I made some effort to make it a little bit more beautiful in comparison with View Child use case example. I hope you like it. As usual, you will find the link to the code in the video description. Time to analyze our UI. We have mainly two components here, the tabs component and the tab component. On the one hand, the tab component should be a container for whatever we want to put or project inside of it. On the other hand, tabs component requires more. We need to display buttons, a button per tab, and display the selected tabs content in the body of the tabs component. A first solution that might come quickly to our mind can be passing an array of names to the tabs component so that it can loop through them and display each tab's button with the right label, and when selected tab event fires, show the tab of the currently selected index. The problem with this solution is that the array we pass to tabs names input should be logical and in sync with the number of tabs we projected inside the tabs component. If we make any mistake, it will break the whole thing. Another issue is that the name of a tab is normally related to a tab rather than the tabs component, isn't it? So it's not a good idea to link it to the tabs component. It would be interesting to let each tab manage its name by adding a name input to the tab component. The last problem with this solution is that the selection system is not autonomous. I have to set the currently selected index whenever the selected tab event is fired, and based on that, conditionally display the right tab. Code is hard to maintain and not elegant at all. What would be great in this case is to make the whole selection system transparent and work behind the scenes. A good solution would be something that is simple and intuitive, manages the selection system internally, adapts automatically to the projected content without extra effort, and make it appear like magic. Something like this is interesting, isn't it? Each tab has its name and we don't see anything about the selection system. The question here, how can I give each tab name information to the tabs component? All what we have for now is a projected content inside of tabs component. If I have access to the instance of the first tab, for example, inside of tabs component class, then I can get its name, and the same goes for the other tab components. This is a perfect example to showcase the power of ContentChild decorator. Since we want to select multiple projected tab components, we need to use ContentChild decorator in this case. I now have access to all tab component instances inside my tabs component class. From here, I have the power I need to implement a maintainable, intuitive, and elegant solution. In the tabs component template, I'll use tabs to loop through all tabs and label the button with tabs name. When a button is clicked, I set the current tab thanks to its index, and in the body of tabs component, I pass the new tab content template to the ng template outlet directive. By the way, I've already explained the immense power of this directive in episode 10, so I recommend checking this episode to learn more in case this is new to you. For a quick refresh, ng template outlet is used to render a dynamically selected template within a component's view. The directive allows you to specify which template should be rendered at runtime based on the value assigned to the ng template outlet directive, which is exactly what we need here. In the class side, let's quickly go through the code. I have my tabs I got thanks to the ContentChild decorator, the current tab where I stuck the active tabs template. When the view is ready, I set the first tab as the selected tab. In this step, I again use the tabs instance to get the tab template, and that takes us to the tab component. Let's give it a look. In the template, as I said before, I need a container where I can project whatever I want, so I used ng content feature here. Since I need to access the template of each tab, I wrapped the ng content with ng template. In the tab component class, I have my tab name input and the reference to the template thanks to our guy viewChild decorator. And this is what we use to set our current tab inside the tabs component class. Let's recap, and if needed, please pause the video to digest the whole thing before going further. So far, we have the tab component, which is a container of anything we want to put in it, and the tabs component that should display buttons and selected tab content. To do so, we query its projected content by using ContentChild decorator. From there, we have tabs that contain all the projected tab components. Each tab instance gives us access to the tab name and its template. We loop through tabs to display button per tab, and on click, we set the tabs component body with the selected tab template at runtime thanks to the ng template outlet directive. Like viewChild, the ContentChild decorator has extra properties and metadata, making it more powerful as they are almost like the viewChild. I'll quickly go through them. First, the selector, to select a projected component, a projected directive, and so on. Second, the read property to specify what you want to read, a component, a template, a directive, etc. Third, the static property to specify when you want to resolve the query. Unlike viewChild decorator, ContentChild query is resolved by default in the ng after content init hook. And the last one is the descendants property, which exists only on this decorator and used to specify if you want to query all descendants of the element, like the case of how nested tabs, for example. Last thing regarding ng content, you may have noticed that I didn't put ng content inside of tabs component template. Still, I used the Content Children decorator to select the projected content. How is this possible? Well, anything you add inside your components tag is considered as a projected content. Not using ng content doesn't mean we can't use ContentChild decorator. We can still select projected content as long as we project something inside of that component. Our episode ends here. Thank you so much for being here, and see you in the next episode of the Angular Stories. Till then, keep learning and stay tuned. If you like the video, please subscribe to the Web Stories channel, hit like and enable notifications to get notified whenever an episode is out.